What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is for you when you are watching this. We are so glad you are here. Had a good weekend. We're going to talk crypto today. Had a good weekend. I think I started to get a little sick, feeling a little bit this morning. So if I'm not the same high energy that I normally am, that's probably why. But doesn't matter how I'm feeling because Bitcoin is up, back above support levels, touching 28,000. Is it going to keep going? Or is that a little bit of a fluke? We're going to talk about that a lot more in this video. So make sure you go and smash that like button. I am Tim, and I am joined by my good co-host, my great co-host, my fantastic co-host, Mr. T. Shroom from down in Gainesville, Florida. T. Shroom, before we get into this morning news update, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling better than I deserve. Got a real intense week coming up this week. Had some big breakthroughs last week. Was able to go ahead and sign my discharge papers. I'm officially just back being a civilian 100%. So that
Good
is
stuff.
It feels pretty good. Feels good to have my boots back in the closet and not being put them on once a month. But here we are. And this week, going to be doing a lot more wedding planning. So that's what I've got going.
There we go. That's some good stuff. You know, we're about to get into some crypto here in just a second, but some cleaning up some things. First of all, we're going to do an economic update. Then we're going to have some stories that broke over the weekend, and then we're going to do some TA to wrap it out. But today, T. Shroom is going to be leaving to go south for a work event. We will not have a live show this afternoon, but instead at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be in Discord doing some Q&A. Anything you guys want to talk about, make sure you join our free Discord down. Link in the description. Follow us on Twitter as well while you're down there. But that's where we will be this afternoon. So make sure to come over to Discord and hang out with us. I think the same is going to be true for Thursday. I think he has another work trip. So Thursday, we're not going to be doing an afternoon show either. But of course, the rest of the days, we will be going live at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we normally do. T-Shroom, let's go ahead and share my screen. Let's take a look at the economic calendar this morning. Nothing necessarily of too much consequence happening today. We do have a couple speeches from some Fed chairmen. Harker speaks twice, once at 10:30 this morning, once at 4:30. But tomorrow we get the Great Britain unemployment rate, so that'll be interesting. We get retail sales here in the United States, and then moving forward into Wednesday, inflation rate for Great Britain will be coming out, and building permits for the United States. All of these could have some, maybe not major impact, but minor impacts on how the economies are looking, and therefore what Bitcoin and crypto should do. At this point, here in the United States, we are still looking at a 90% probability that we're going to stay paused here in just a couple of weeks. I think we're almost 2 weeks away from that next FOMC meeting. Heavy indication is that we're going to stay paused for now. Bitcoin Fear and Greed ticking up this morning. Get some nice jewelry and stuff down there, by the way, too. 1945. Those rings. Those actually look kind of nice. But 47 on our Bitcoin Fear and Greed index, back up into neutral. If we don't get a big correction today, we might see that tick a little bit higher because I do think we made some more work after the close. After this came out last night, we made a push even higher. So unless we get another big dip the rest of today, expect this to tick back up over 50 tonight. Let's take a look at our coin market cap open. Bitcoin, big gainer today. I'm not saying it's the biggest of them all, but 3%. I think I saw somewhere it got as high as 4.5% within a certain period of time. So Bitcoin, you're definitely going to see the dominance go to the upside. Solana had a nice little night itself, up 5.21%. Let's see if there's any other big movers. Bitcoin Cash up 6%. That looks like the top mover so far in the top 20, and that is what it is. Let's look at the big losers, big gainers. Bitcoin SV, Bitcoin Cash, Render, all kind of taking the top. Solana coming in fourth place there. Nothing crazy, but had a nice last 24 hours for the crypto community. We'll tell you why that is, by the way. In case any of you are wondering, why is Bitcoin rallying? Why is crypto rallying? There's actually a pretty good reason why. We'll explain that here in just a second. Biggest losers, Loom Network. Now, remember, Loom Network had an explosive week last week. You can even see right here, last 7 days, 110%. But it is down 5% today. That's pretty normal when you have that explosive a rally. It moves to the downside. After that, not a lot of losers whatsoever. We had 2 more that lost more than 1%, and then we dipped below the less than 1% losses. So pretty bullish last 24 hours for crypto. But let's talk to T. Shroom and look at some news as to maybe why that is.
Bitcoin jumps nearly 4.5 to 28,000 amid hopes on U.S. ETF approval. So let me bring Tim back in. I don't know what happened to him here. There he is.
I
And
disappear
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. So there's not a ton of details outside of that. I mean, just people are bullish. Where that liquidity was coming from, it had to more than likely be somewhere in Asia, because of the timing it was happening. Could have been some limit orders, I suppose, but the spike followed Sunday's slight increase in Bitcoin's price by 0.1%, so almost nothing, to 26.9 after the SEC's approval of the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF announced on Friday night. The cryptocurrency community looked excited. So a lot of excitement there around that big headline.
Well, hold on. Let's make sure. So you said it there. I want to make sure. Go back down to the article. They didn't approve it. They didn't appeal it.
Right, yeah, the article seems to say that after the SEC approval of Grayscale Bitcoin ETF, was it
Yeah.
officially
So
approved?
no. That's a misprint there. A
Yeah,
misunderstanding. It has not been approved. It is okay. I can tell you right now. If it approved, I think the price would have jumped up a lot quicker, a lot faster.
yeah,
This is definitely something that was a misquote by that article. It just did not get appealed. We covered this on Friday, that we didn't think it was going to happen, and then early rumors came out Friday that they weren't going to appeal it. That doesn't mean they're not going to delay it. So, for anyone who got confused by that article, that was a misprint. That person didn't really know what they were talking about.
yeah. This would have been news to me that there was an
Yeah.
approval. I think more than likely the SEC has just had their hand forced. So that's kind of
Yeah.
coincidentally, the next story here is actually the breaking news from last week, which is SEC will
Yeah.
not appeal court decision on Grayscale spot Bitcoin ETF. So that sets the record straight.
Yeah.
That's the story. It's not nothing was approved, especially not the Grayscale ETF. Well, Grayscale's going to be here in our next headline as well. Grayscale's GBTC discount falls to 15%, 2-year lows. Perhaps you guys have seen the NAV chart here for GBTC. It got as low as, I want to say, almost 40% down here back in January of 2023. Folks were buying it here as it was around 20% NAV. Get into too much of the details around that, but now it's at 15. So limited time discount of essentially Bitcoin. You have a 15% discount there.
Yeah, but this also might be T-Shroom because people
Mm,
are preparing for what we know. The rumor is they thought they were going to be able to just take this GPTC and turn it into spot ETF. More than likely, the delay is going to be the SEC saying, "Well, you can't really do that. You have to file for a brand new one."
mm.
And so people might be selling out of this one because they want to prepare themselves to get into the spot ETF.
Could be. Could be, yeah. That's interesting. All right, well, Solana becomes ecosystem partner of Dubai Free Zone. So Solana getting a little bit of a boost. Probably
Mhm.
the fundamentals that was supporting the price movement to the upside. Dubai Multi Commodity Center, the DMCC. You might be hearing more of that acronym. One of the free economic zones in the UAE. According to the announcement from October 15th, with its blockchain platform, Solana will provide technical and business development support to any DMCC Crypto Center member. So Solana
Mm.
getting a big win there, kind of being like the Coke or the Pepsi in a big sports stadium, getting the partnership there with a pretty big, what could be a pretty big crypto node there in Dubai. Well, MetaMask has had quite a bit of a challenge over the last week. MetaMask is back on Apple's App Store after briefly leaving the platform. They were indeed delisted, you could say. They were required
Mhm.
required the wallet to be removed until developers could demonstrate compliance. So, kind of what you need to realize here is something that's operating in the background is Apple makes a lot of money from their Apple Store, right? And everybody so far pays in fiat currency for those services. If a crypto could obfuscate the App Store system and the like 30% fee that Apple takes, that would be very, very bad for Apple. So this may be Apple just kind of flexing its strength and trying to put the crypto world back in its place through kind of MetaMask as a proxy. So something to consider. Something to consider. Well, we saw a huge pop in Loom last week, and I'll get through this quick so we can get to the charts here. But Loom Network shows explosive performance, and here's why. Long story short, guys, they were acquired by Atlassian. Atlassian, a global leader in team collaboration software, and the definitive agreement wherein Atlassian will acquire Loom for a whopping $975 million. So very, very close to $1 billion there. Valuation for Loom. Kind of came out of nowhere. Very nice for them. And then this last story here, U.S. oil is back. And ExxonMobil's $60 billion deal isn't even the biggest deal. Won't get into the details of this one too much here, guys. But all it is really just saying is there seems to be a bit more drilling. The Biden administration seems to be letting up a little bit on their oil drilling regulation, which is only going to be good for the price of oil to come back down.
Yeah.
So something to keep in mind there.
Kind of a needed move. Not one I thought he would make. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think he would do it, but
I don't know how much it is him versus how
And
much maybe some of these contracts are ready to be
yeah.
exercised. I'm not exactly sure,
Maybe.
but there's a little more oil going on, a little more oil drilling going on here in the United States.
In the United States. All right, let's go ahead and do some TA here, T-Shroom, and we'll call it a wrap for this morning news update. And since we're not doing a live show, but we will be in Discord, I'll do a little bit more in depth. Guys, Bitcoin rallying here on the daily chart. You guys can see one of the bullish things that we're seeing here is not only do we get back above this blue line, but technically speaking, this was one more higher low. Now, it wasn't with the trend. So that's, didn't mean to hit that. It wasn't with the trend. So that's something to keep your eyes on. But we definitely are still technically within a bullish trend. Now, what we need to do is see a price get above 28,600 because that would be the higher high we are looking for. I told you, when you zoom out from a small time frame, you still see a bullish trend here. But when you zoom out on a larger time frame, you still see that we have this head and shoulders pattern still developing. Now, if we can't get above 28.6, that doesn't mean that it's an automatic death sentence that we have to fall down below 25,000. We could just trade kind of sideways here, which happens sometimes with shoulder patterns. But even if we break 28.6, I want to remind you guys, that doesn't make all of a sudden this super bullish pattern. We need to break 32,000 to set a higher high than the head to cancel out that head and shoulders pattern and also start having the bulls be more confident about a long-term bullish move, something I don't think is going to happen. Now, the daily chart oscillators are giving us a little bit of a picture that potentially something bullish could happen. You will see the oscillators are curving over. I don't like this one. I don't like the money flow is still moving pretty aggressively to the downside. So definitely keep your eyes on that. Also, taking down the oscillators here on the daily chart. Let's take a look at some other things. Bollinger Bands. You will see on the 4-hour chart, we had a massive breakout here, a breakout above, which is explosive. Again, constriction right here, breakout. We hit some resistance. Now it looks like we're curving back in. That's kind of a more bearish take right there. But daily chart, look at what's happening here. We're still within a mode of constriction. Even though we had a nice breakup, look at the support level coming to the upside, the resistance level coming to the downside. I still think a bigger breakout is coming, but we have a little bit further of consolidation to happen there. Also keep an eye on the fact that this is the 200-day moving average on the SMA. We have not been above it since this fake out back in August. And even then, we stayed above it for one day and then fell back below. This is something that continues to be used as resistance. Now, we are using the 50 as support. So let's kind of see what happens here. That's even more constriction kind of happening. That's going to lead towards a big breakout. But be aware of both of those. Whichever one breaks first, to my opinion, is the one that, that side's going to get more explosion. Do we break the 200 and the bulls take control? Do we break the 50 and do the bears take control? Keep your eyes fixed on that for Bitcoin. But of course, Bitcoin dominance seeing a surge this morning again. Yes, we had some bearish indicators, but again, we're ignoring them. What is that a sign of? That's a sign of bullish chart movement. This time, Bitcoin dominance would suggest that this is Bitcoin making a bigger move than the altcoins, and that could continue. Whether we continue to the upside or we continue to the downside, we could see other alts continue to bleed. Now, Ethereum, very interesting spot this morning. I'm going to kind of close here with Ethereum, I think. We'll cover some other alts later today in our Discord meetup at 3 p.m. Bullish divergence here on the daily chart. That's definitely good, but you can see money flow still curving to the downside. Yes, we had some green MVP oscillators, but not necessarily like screaming at us it's time to buy. And right here, yes, we wicked back above the blue line, but this is a daily chart right here, guys. We need to close not only this candle, but the next one as well to feel confident about reclaiming that support level. You will still be bounced just perfectly on this trend of support that we've had since back here in March. So that's a positive sign. But when you get to the 4-hour chart, again, a lot of things screaming at us. overbought. We technically could go a little higher to that dynamic reactor right there on 1600, or maybe even, let's go back to the daily chart. I do believe, no, it was the 4-hour chart. So 200 on the 4-hour, sitting right here on 1616 could be interesting for it, but with all good things that pump like this, they come with corrections, and keep an eye out here, guys. If we do get rejected, let me take this down so there's not so much noise. Look at what we have here. Look at the oscillators along with these prices right here. Lower oscillator, we've gotten higher with the oscillator, and yet we're nowhere close to that price action. What would that set up kind of perfectly? Some bearish divergence send us back to the downside, which, again, if both Bitcoin and Ethereum move the downside over the next couple of weeks, which I think they will, we could see Ethereum continue to outpace Bitcoin. But I'll cover more of that in future videos because I do have some interesting thoughts about that. But T-Shroom, that's all we have for everybody in this video. Make sure that you guys go ahead and smash that like button. If you are new here, please consider hitting subscribe to continue to grow this channel. We are fast growing. Every single day we're gaining more and more subscribers because you guys are phenomenal and awesome. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you do that. With that said, though, I'll see you this afternoon, and we'll see the rest of you tomorrow morning.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.